Every apostle is a treasure, but Peter is the gift that keeps on giving. He's got a fascinating King Arthur kind of character arc where he moves from one of the lower ones in society all the way up to the head of the church and one of the greatest saints in the kingdom of heaven. But the arc itself is messy, right? He makes a bunch of mistakes. He sins multiple times. And I think this is why he in particular resonates with Christians carrying along their own way. And because of that, I find that his story yields so many insights for the spiritual life. So what I want to do is just look more closely at his character, particularly in the scene of the Transfiguration, to yield some of those insights for us today. He says when he's up top the mountain, "Lord, it is good that we are here. I will make 3 tents, one for you, one for Elijah, and one for Moses." Now, the other gospel accounts of the Transfiguration, like Mark's gospel, they add this one line that suggests they too are from Delco. After Peter says that it is good that we are here, a line is added that says, he don't know what he's saying. But why would the author say that? What do you mean he doesn't know what he's saying? We got miracles up here, we got clouds, we got apparitions, we got Elijah over here, we got Moses over here. This isn't just good, guys, this is amazing. Who wouldn't want to set up tents and stay there forever? But apparently, the author of the gospel who adds that line views it differently. The miracles, the apparitions, all these consolations, they are not what makes this good. In this moment, it is good because God is there. God is acting, and Peter is in his company. So to build the tents and to stay atop the mountain when Jesus, God himself, is literally about to descend is in effect to prefer the consolation over the consoler, to attach oneself to something other than God himself, and that will always, always be a dangerous move. But it's something that Peter has struggled with his whole life. And he's not alone. I'll give you an example of a friend of mine, Andrew. It's a powerful one for me personally. Andrew loves his wife, Michelle. The two of them are high school sweethearts. They've never dated anybody else, nor have they ever had eyes for anybody else. And even today, they are now 4 children deep into their marriage, and he still speaks so fondly of her, occasionally I wonder if he lights a candle to her at night. And on one occasion, I asked him, Andrew, would you take a bullet for Shell? Oh, absolutely. Would you die for her? Oh, I wouldn't hesitate. Would you give up beer if she asked you to? No. That's how he responded. That's exactly how he responded. And all of a sudden, in that very simple conversation, we discovered his here. Life with his wife was good while we were here, meaning as he preferred it. The benefits and the sacrifices alike. He expected them. He approved of them. And it seemed on paper that his love was not only pure, it was total. But what we discovered was that it actually wasn't. And neither was Peter's. And as we will oftentimes find, neither is ours. But what makes it tricky is the missing or the broken piece is hidden in the subtleties. So let's quickly look at Peter's life a little bit more deeply. He's a good Jew, right? We can extract that from the Gospels as a whole, which means he fasted, he prayed, he went to synagogue every week. He grew up as every Jew would with a very specific image in mind of what the Messiah is supposed to be. And like most Jews, that Messiah is a Messiah of power. He's going to conquer the political government of the time, which in his age is Rome. He's going to restore wealth and abundance to Israel. He's going to establish a kingdom that's never, ever, ever going to fail. So when his brother comes to him and says, "Yo, Pete, we found the Messiah," imagine what that meant for Peter. Imagine that. This is why he follows Christ across deserts, over hills, in poverty, through controversy. And all the while, he's listening to Jesus speak, saying shocking things about the demands of the gospel, that it calls one to perfection, that it has higher even than Mosaic law moral standards, that disciples are going to be expected to pick up their cross, to be willing to forsake their life, to love Jesus more than their own family or wife. And yet somehow none of that is really sinking in, because Peter is clinging to his here, his image of what the Messiah is supposed to be like. And he's glimpsing it today on the top of that mountain. Of course he wants to stay in it. But it's an attachment that nearly made him an enemy of God. And that sounds dramatic, but it's not. When Jesus spoke of his passion, Peter forbid him to go to the cross. When Jesus was arrested, Peter denied knowing him. When Jesus died on the cross, Peter was nowhere to be found. This wasn't how he imagined it. This wasn't his here. What is your here? I hear not infrequently that people would be willing to give their life for Christ. Okay, but would you live for him? Could you have more children if God wanted it? Statistically speaking, Catholics contracept just as much as everybody else does. Could you sacrifice more of your income because Christ called you to give more, even if it upset your lifestyle expectations? Statistically speaking, like 1 to 3% of Catholics tithe. For those who are younger among us, could you enter a seminary or a convent if you knew that your family would oppose you, but simply because God was asking you to follow him? Of all the good that we have in life, what the gospel is trying to say is God is our greatest good. And attachment to anything else puts that relationship in danger. Now, praise God, Peter's story ends very well. After his attachments led to his betrayal, Jesus rise from the grave. Who knew? Second chance. Pulled Peter aside. And then he looks at Peter again and now addresses what's that broken link. He asks him to surrender, this time completely. And he says to him, "Peter, when you were young, you dressed yourself and walked where you wanted. But when you are older, another will dress you and carry you where you do not want to go." And it's not going to be in your here, right? This time, it's not just taking you down the mountain you wanted to stay on. It's going to be up the cross that you're going to die on. And what's amazing is that happens. The very Peter who so long dreamt of Israel's rise to power let God lead him into a criminal's death. And amazingly, all the things that he wanted, to conquer his enemies, to possess the abundance of life, to live in God's kingdom forever, he actually receives in a manner he could have never have imagined, and in a way he could have never dreamed.